Hello, everybody. This is MTG Origins podcast. My name is James Klumper, and I'm with the host, Jake MTG. How you doing tonight, Jake?
Doing great. How you been doing, but James?
Doing pretty well, surviving another week. It's August the 27th of 2020, and we are still hunkering down. It looks like in the middle of the COVID-19 crisis. But in the midst of all the drama in the world right now, we do have a good episode planned out for you tonight. Jake, would you like to introduce our guest?
Yeah, we got Michael, 1916 here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well. How are the two of you doing?
Doing great.
Well.
Doing great.
Thanks for asking. Hey, Michael, so just tell us a little quick tidbit about yourself before we delve into some conversation here. Who are you? What are you about? Where can we find you? That sort of thing.
All right, I can do that. Well, I'm Michael1916 on the internet. I'm also known as John. It's easier for some people to say. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter, and hopefully in the near future on YouTube more often.
Awesome.
All
Sweet.
under the name Michael1916 as well.
Okay.
And I'm a Magic player who has played more on than off since 1993.
Okay.
Oh,
Awesome.
wow.
Okay,
Okay,
that's a long time. I was
Yes.
born in 1993.
I was born in 88, so...
Okay.
So you got a couple years there.
There you go.
Yeah.
So,
Really
go
quick
ahead.
then, Michael. What set was 1993? What was that? The very first set?
So 93 would have been A, B, and U.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I don't have any knowledge about that at all.
Yeah, I think the first white border set
Okay.
was unlimited, and then the following one was 94, was the wide printing that didn't have the power.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Awesome. So, how did you first started getting into Magic?
So my older brother didn't always have his friend group around to play, so he taught me how to play, gave me a couple of cards, and then I basically stuck myself into his backpack every time he went to a game shop so I could get more cards.
Oh, there you go. That sounds like fun.
So you said you started in 1993. Did you have like a favorite card at that time? Like, did you have a card that you saw that really made you kind of get sucked into the game, or did you just kind of like the nature of the game itself?
I think everything all at once. Like at that point, I was also learning about things like Epic Warhammer 40K. There was there's the one that everybody knows now with like the 1.5-inch tall models.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Epic is the version of that has 6 mm tall humans and like foot tall towering mechas.
Oh wow. That
Really?
sounds fun.
So it's
Yes,
like a
there's one that-
vintage. It's like a vintage Warhammer, essentially.
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay. To be honest with you, I haven't even heard of it, but I'm sure it was quite an experience.
Yeah. I never
It
played that
was.
game either. So like, okay. And so what did you do in the community for Magic? Like you said that you stream, you make content. What do you mostly do?
I mostly, and currently I'm on hiatus from, but I'm hoping to return soon, do a show called the Great Content Creator Jank Brew Duel Off Event Series,
Mm-hmm.
which
Awesome.
is intentionally a mouthful.
Okay. Yeah. So like, tell me more about that, about the Jank Duel Off.
So it started off when I saw a bunch of pro players and high-level creators, and honestly just a bunch of friends that they were burned out doing the grind or competing on ladder and ranks and constant bannings. So my thought was, well, where if there was a place you could just go and do whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, build a bad deck, bring it to me. We'll talk about your time in Magic and give you a chance to fall back in love with the game that you care about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I know a lot of people just like to play, top tier 1 decks, and most of the people don't even have fun playing with those anyway, because it's all repetitive. Like you're just playing, when everybody was playing like mono red, it was so boring. Like it was just so repetitive, and I didn't enjoy it. But like for me, I like playing janky stuff, like out of the box type of cards, which is my favorite. So what's your favorite deck so far that you've been playing recently?
As of late, I've been playing a lot of mono green Games Over Tron.
Oh, okay.
In Standard.
Oh, awesome. Tell me more about that.
Right, just a moment. I have to close my window because there is a train coming.
Oh, no worries.
The joys of living by train tracks.
Oh yeah, I have one right down the road too.
So you said to tell you about the Monogreen Tron
Monogreen
deck?
Tron and Standard. I haven't even heard of that as a deck. Is that a meta deck? Is that a jank deck you came up with?
So my take on it, I think, is janky. It's monogreen. I call it Mighty Morphin Mutate, but also monogreen Tronstrosities.
Okay.
But it's basically just a mutate pile with Auspicious Sterixes and Ugins.
Oh yes, going out there with the Ugin. Man, that card is so much fun. I remember when it first came out in Fate, and that was really fun.
I'm so sorry if that train is audible.
It's all good.
It's okay. The train's just trying to be as loud as physically possible.
It's the
Yes.
Jink train.
So for the build that I have made, it's almost everything in the deck draws a card.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
like 4 of Llanowar Visionary, multiple copies of Golden Egg, Sky
Mhm.
Scanner,
Okay.
and Solemn. So it either gets a land or provides mana or draws a card or both.
There you go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love just playing with the ton of artifacts as well. Especially trying to get Ugin out quick.
Yes.
Does it play Nissa as well?
This version does not. I actually intentionally built this one to be a little closer to rotation proof, which is why there's no Paradise Druid for hexproof for the mutate pile. There's no Karn the Great Creator, and I think that's it. I think Karn's the only rotating card. Oh no, sorry, Karn's Bastion is also in there for ticking up the planeswalkers quickly.
Oh,
Okay.
of course. The
Awesome.
War of the Spark staple, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which with Ugin, it's just cruel.
Oh yes. Well, when War of the Spark was just released in general, I mean that whole set kind of messed up Standard for the next half of a
Ever.
year. Ever
Oh,
since
yeah.
War of the Sparks come in. Yeah, sure, it's been the coolest set that's come out, in my opinion, for Standard. But
I think that set affected probably I guess all the cards in there. Most of them affected Legacy, Vintage, everything. Right with Nissa. I mean, no, this is with Narset and with Teferi, right?
Yeah, I think that War of the Spark is on par with Modern Horizons for what it did to Eternal formats.
Yeah, it's gross. You can't even play counter magic with the Teferi.
Yeah, and
Did
Karn the Great
Teferi get a
Creator
ban
got
recently?
banned.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Did Teferi get a ban too?
Yes.
I don't. Did he?
I believe so. Not in Standard and Pioneer. I think it was banned in Pioneer too, right?
Yeah, I think just the standard set, the two most recent sets that are Standard, Pioneer, and was it Historic as well?
I believe so. Yes, Historic. Yeah, we can check it out. But just like with Oko, that card was nuts. But you can still play it in Legacy?
Is that the only format it's legal in, Commander and Legacy?
I think Vintage.
Oh, and Vintage too. Yeah, man.
They did my
Yeah,
boy Oko dirty, dude. They did
I know
my
you
boy
bought
Oko
4 and then they just got
Ooh,
banned.
I had 8 of them at one point.
Oh, you had
and
8, yeah.
I had 8, and I got rid of a couple of them, and I gave some to you, and then they dropped, and then they kept dropping and dropping, and then they just were completely useless. And now I got a bunch of them sitting here next to me that I'm just too sad to let go of because I love the cards so much.
Yeah.
The artwork was fantastic. I mean, the design, the people who designed these cards, besides the way the card works mechanically, but just the artwork and the thematic behind it all, they should have been paid way more than I'm sure they earned because of how gorgeous the set was as a whole. Not even considering the special art they did, but just the base set you got from, normal packs to just play a draft with,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
At least that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I
So
think I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, talk about such a fun world they put you in. As far as when I did a lot of drafting, my favorite set 2 draft was, what set was Oko in? Let's see, what was it called?
Eldraine.
Eldraine.
Yeah, Throne of Eldraine. And there's nothing quite like it. Everything you played felt like it was part of a story that you were telling. And I don't know. I personally haven't gotten another Magic experience like that recently, and I'm hoping that they're able to capture that. It feels like they pushed a little bit too hard on the special art as they kind of moved forward from Throne of Eldraine, and that wasn't what people liked about it. I felt like a lot of people liked the story tale, the story and the fairy tale behind it all. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but that's how I saw it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you too. what? How do I haven't played standard when Ikora came out. I kind of took a break. Was there any like fun cards that were just in that set before? Let's say, what was the other set that came out? So there's Kiora, and then Zendikar's coming up next. Is that what it is?
Yes, we had M21 in there.
M21. So was there any like fun decks before M21 came out for Ikora? Because I haven't been playing since then.
I mean, there've been a couple of interesting decks. I think there was a huge missed opportunity because there was something I really wanted to do with Oko actually, which was to play to Spark Double an Oko and then Mythos of Illuna it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that would be gross.
Well, I just wanted to play Oko in Modern. I just liked Oko so much. I wanted to do a mono green Tron deck with Oko.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
such an easily abusable card. It's so much fun.
I remember seeing Burn play it.
Oh my gosh. The thing is, dude, the sad thing is, this is what people did. They didn't want Oko to exist, so they put it in every single deck. So guess what Wizards would have to do? They'd have to ban the card. Like if you
put
jam
in
it,
goblins.
dude, people put it. It didn't matter what the deck was. They would literally put green mana in their green fetches and like 2 green mana cards in their deck with artifacts that create any color, just to put Oko in there, just to get the attention to Wizards that this card was busted, because it was busted. It's not a fair card. It's not a fair or balanced card by any means. But man, it was such a fun card to play with, and I don't think it's. I mean, can you think of any reasonable way they could have balanced that card? Because I think the only way to balance it was remove it. To be honest with you, as much as I like the card.
I mean, they've already said repeatedly that they won't do restrictions in standard, but I feel like that would have done it. Be like, you could have one Oko.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
Because he would have been like your flex pick. Like if you got it, okay, you have an advantage. But it wasn't like once the opponent removes it, all of a sudden they're in a hole because you're going to drop another one on turn 4. You know what I mean? Turn 3, then turn 4, and then turn 5. You know, and then all of a sudden you just always have an Oko on the field, and they just lose based on the fact that they have complete control of the game. So I get that. That would have been a good thing. That would have been good. I could have seen that in Modern too. You can limit it down to 1 or 2. I think 1 would have probably been the maximum that they would allot, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you flip the card like that. But back to, so we went on a little bit of tangent about Throne of Eldraine and some of our favorite cards here. Michael, real quick, how did you get involved in the Magic the Gathering community?
Well, I think that's a multi-part question. So involved in Magic the Gathering, my brother, and like I said, hid in the backpack, went to the game store. I sorted through penny bins. I sorted through the dime and nickel bins. I, at this point, realized that I had probably lost more money from the cards I got out of the penny bins than I have in my collection now.
Oh, really?
Well, because back then I could pick up like things like alpha and beta, just
That's true.
chaff for
That's true.
10 15 cents because nobody wanted it, because they all wanted their Shivan Dragons and their random mocks.
Yeah.
But I also remember going to like multiple events as a child, and like people would be like, here's my draft chaff, or here's the leftovers from a pack I opened. I only wanted the 1 or 2 cards. Like, looking back at that, like some of the cards that were left on tables for people like me are worth like $600 now.
That's crazy.
Gosh.
That's crazy. Man, I wish I wasn't playing Pokemon or collecting Pokemon cards.
Man, I wish I was alive.
That's true.
If we're going for wishes, I wish I hadn't left my collection in a car in 1997.
Oh, geez, how did that happen? Did you forget it, or?
We went to a competition and there was some sort of an issue with we weren't allowed to bring extra cards. We could only bring our 1 deck.
Okay.
So I went in with my 1 deck and left the rest of the stuff in the car, and somebody broke the handle off of the car and opened the door and took my collection, my brother's collection, and my brother-in-law's collection out of the car.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, that sucks. Wow. Man, I can't even imagine. I remember I lost like a legacy deck at a GP one time, but
No.
man, that was bad. But I mean, you lost your whole collection, huh?
Do you want to cry?
Jeez.
That was recent, right?
No, it was 1997.
Oh, okay. No, I'm talking about Jacob's Legacy. Like,
Oh,
yeah, that was
a lot of money.
2-3 years ago.
Oof.
So yeah, I mean, like you always have to keep your eyes out. Like I was stupid enough to just leave it on the table and go to the bathroom, and I forgot about it because I was just like scatterbrained. I was like just my mind was destroyed after playing that Legacy game. So I went to the bathroom, came back, and forgot I didn't have my deck on me.
You played against Storm, didn't you? You're like, oh god, the math.
I think it was actually my first time ever playing against that. It's enchantment where you can sacrifice a creature and you gain mana for it or whatever, but you can always keep comboing off with that. It's with that one Innistrad Sphinx, I think. Or not Innistrad, Food Chain. That's what it was. Yeah. I lost a Food Chain. I didn't even know what it was. I just saw the card. I was like, well, here we go. And then the second game, he did the exact same thing. I couldn't do anything about it because I was playing, just Delver. I mean, I had my forces, but it didn't really matter.
Right. At that point, you're too far gone. Yeah.
At that point, a Stifle would have been great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I didn't play any, sadly. But yeah. So
two-part question. So that's how you got into Magic. How did you get involved in like the community side of things?
So in the community side of things, I started streaming last year in I believe January.
Okay.
And I was just kind of playing random games. I'm like, I don't really care about this, but like I care about Magic. I'm going to stream Magic. So I started doing that, and I went from having 10, 15 people in my chat to I had one person.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was about my third or fourth stream of playing Magic in a row where one of my friends who's now a mod on the channel, he came along and he's like, hey, I'm going to stay here.
Oh,
and I'm like, okay.
There you go. That's really cool.
Yeah, and he's been there for almost every stream, YouTube video, anything since then.
And it's awesome to have people like that.
Yeah, and it kind of it snowballed from that point. Like I had the one person say like, "Hey, I'm going to stay," and then the next person came by, and then I remember freaking out. I looked in my chat one time. I was like, I wonder who's here. There's only 3 people. I was like, Kenji Egashira is in my chat right now.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
That's really cool.
Yeah, and a week later, Jim Davis was in there for a couple minutes, and then Voxy raided me with 90 people and blew my mind.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is all the people I've had in my chat in the whole 2 months I've been doing this at once.
Yeah, that is awesome. When bigger streamers or whoever you see and you watch and who would just hang out with you chatting and just bring everybody over, that feeling is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And so was there anything that you would think about changing in the community for help everybody to grow together, or is there any advice you would give to to help people grow?
2 separate parts to that. So for the first part, I think I'm doing the best thing I can do with my show of trying to introduce anyone who plays the game to everyone I know who plays the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that they might not get a mass following, but they'll probably get somebody that they can make content with, they can interact with, and develop from there. As for helping people grow, consistency.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, that is the thing. It's you play the same game at the same time on the same day, week in and week out, and eventually you'll get somewhere with it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's the biggest thing, because I know with I guess for most people, it's just the biggest thing is trying to be consistent with everything, because you're always busy with work or whatever's going on. You just have to make the time to do that.
Well, I'm sure content burnout has something to do with that, doing the same thing every time, and you're not seeing any instant growth within the first month or so. I'm sure that also plays a part into some people not wanting to, continue to pursue something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I've had actually 2 content creators reach out to me and ask me how do I get into the creator program, and how do I do this, and how do I grow my audience? And I'm like, stop streaming as much as you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you build an audience. You spend the time, the dedicated time with the dedicated group, and naturally there will be an affinity there between you and them, and you won't have to ask them to go and share your tweets about going live. You won't have to ask them about being in your chat.
Yeah,
they're just going to be there because they see you directly interacting with them by name.
Mm-hmm.
You notice when they come in the chat, you talk them up, you raid into them.
Mm-hmm.
Or you take their suggestions to raid into if they're not in content creation themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of making your own little family, basically.
Yeah. Exactly. That's to me that's what community building is. It's these like I would say that there are probably 5 to 6 people who are in my immediate group that like if I were to have to take another 6 months off of content creation like I had to last year, I would hand my account to them and be like, you guys do what you will. I trust you.
Yeah, that's awesome that you have those, those people there that can do that.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of people don't, because they just stream just randomly, don't have like a really consistent schedule, and if you don't have that, you don't really grow that kind of community like what you had. So, what are your long-term aspirations in Magic?
My long-term aspirations, I think to spend enough time with the game and the community to where I can profit from my love of the game.
Okay.
Maybe not make a living off of it, but consistently profit off of it.
Okay.
And that sounds like horrifically capitalist.
Yeah,
but it's not. Well, but it's not just the financial profit. Like I have received a significant amount of financial profit in the past from people helping me out because they cared about my Magic streams. They cared about me, so they gave me money to make sure I was okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the connections. I have a friend who lives in South Africa. This friend is currently not able to be online due to a myriad of issues. I talk to that friend almost every day.
Oh, awesome.
And that's a form of profit.
Exactly.
Like that is. I've made that connection with that person. Like, do you mind if I use their name?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So it's Decrepit Sundu 3. He's another content creator and also not just a part of my community, not just a mod on my stream, but he's my friend.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and like I look forward to, and for anybody who's trying to grow an audience or make their name in content creation, not just in Magic, but just in content creation in general, like make one friend like that where you are excited to talk to them. Yeah. And then do it 1,000 times.
Yeah, and I see you like shouting out at people all the time, just because you like them. And it's not because they're asking you to. It's just because it's what you want to do.
Yeah, it's very rare that I will actually shout somebody out who asks me to do it, unless they've already been in and around my circle. Like if it's just a random person's like, hey, I like Magic, can you give me a shout out? I'd be like, hey, when are you going to be live next? I'll come check you out.
Yeah.
Because like I made the mistake early on of sharing the works of some people, and I'm like, okay, so never doing that again, because that was wow, you were racist, man. Wow.
All right, so the winner for the giveaway is Joshua Harland. So his Twitter is at Joshua DEC20. So go ahead, DM me, let me know your all your info, and we'll send it out to you. So congrats.
So Michael, are you planning on attending in any upcoming events, maybe whether it be online, or do they have anything like in person that's going to be coming up in the future that they're hoping for, or is there anything else that you want to participate in?
Currently and for the foreseeable future, digitally and free only, due to the current finance situation that I have and COVID-19.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I do believe that one of my friends is putting together a streamer battle league in the near future that I might be participating in. They reached out to me directly. And then I think the Aether Hub is doing a free tournament in September that I might be participating in, where they're doing like, I think it's 10,000 gems or something for the prize.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's a lot of, you can get a lot of packs with that.
Yeah,
that's a large prize. Yeah,
awesome. So yeah, I mean, I wish that some of the online events that I've seen, they're like $30-$40. I'm like, why is it that expensive when you're just getting like digital stuff?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's
like I can't even get rid of my chaff.
Yeah. Exactly. I have all these like cards that are like I haven't used, like the uncommon, whatever it was, the ones that you can buy new stuff. I have like 600 of those. It's like, where am I going to use all these? But yeah, But so yeah, what are your thoughts on MTG returning to live events? Do you think it's going to be the same, or what do you think they should change, or anything like that?
I think that in other parts of the world, Magic the Gathering will likely have live events in person, maybe spring of next year.
Okay. Yeah.
I think here in the States, we would be lucky if by fourth quarter 2021, we have live events of more than 10 people.
Yeah.
And from what I can understand, the way live events are structured at the moment hasn't really changed since the last time I consistently played Paper, which means you really don't get your value out of it.
Really? It's like $90 or $70 for a GP.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Well,
and
for a massive event, I haven't been to one since 2001.
Okay.
Like the artifact lands were still legal.
Oh, really? Oh, jeez.
Yeah, like it's been that long. I don't have like a fear of large groups, but I do get like the con flu, and
that is true.
Yeah. But I mean, like, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, even like 100-person tournaments where they were giving away like a Mox that happened here, I think last year.
Okay.
I went to that, and this was pre-COVID, and I saw enough sniffling and sneezing and coughing. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I probably only have like a 1 in 95 chance of winning this, so I'm just gonna go home.
Yeah. I mean, it is very dirty at GPs.
Yes.
It's insane. Like I brought my my friend down. He'd never been to a Magic event. We were just going to Vegas just to hang out, and I was just going to play, some side events if I wanted to. And he walked immediately out because of the smell.
Oh yeah.
He's like, why'd you leave? He was like, dude, you don't smell that. And I'm like, am I supposed to be desensitized by this? But yeah, I guess it was that bad. He had to leave.
Oh, I believe it. I definitely do.
So given something like that, what are your thoughts on like the state of the community prior to COVID-19 and hopefully returning to live events in the future? What would you recommend to other Magic the Gathering fans in order to make the experience more enjoyable for everybody? Like, do you have any? What would you say other than basic hygiene?
I would talk to your local shop owners. I would go to your LGSs or call them, Facebook message them and request that they not run tournaments for at least the rest of this year. Just to cut down on the spread. And then
faster we cut down, the faster we can get back to what we like to do,
right. And then probably something along the lines of like, even once it's safe again, maybe put a little more space between the tables, even if it means you lose a table.
Yeah. What do you think about putting like plexiglass in between the players?
I think right now, if there's any in-person tournaments going on, any in-store play, it should be required. I think like face masks and hand sanitizer should be required for entry. Here's my $5 for F&M. Here's my face mask, and here's my little hand sanitizer spritzer bottle. I'm ready to play. Yeah. Oh, that's right. I need my deck.
And then they have to shuffle it for you. Jeez.
I mean, there comes some level of understanding between two players, I'm sure. But I would even go as far to say, and if any of the basic hygiene rules are broken, you're told to leave, and that's it. Don't make room for people to take off their masks just because they're sitting behind a piece of plastic. Just the more, I guess, I don't want to say like stubborn your store is, but the more prepared they are and the more willing they are to step up and draw the line, I think that's the sooner people will things will start turning around. And I think that goes for more than just Magic. I think that goes for day-to-day living, people just being respectful of other people, whether or not they think it's making a difference. I think people, if they really cared about each other, which unfortunately I don't think a lot of people do, but granted, I'm sure a lot of people have good intentions. I think the respectful thing to do is be understanding, and regardless of whether your worldview lines up to, what people are saying, just respect one another. And if someone says wear a mask and that's what they want, and stay 6 feet away, just do it. I don't understand why it's so hard for some people to, care about each other and just
Yeah.
honor that boundary, regardless of whether they agree and they have their own proof that whatever they believe is real, right or wrong. At the end of the day, it really comes down to how much do you really care about other people? Because if you're not willing to do that, you clearly don't care.
So
Yeah.
I don't know how it is where you guys are at, but I absolutely agree with everything you just said, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Every piece of it.
Yeah.
Here in the state of Michigan,
Mhm.
there is an executive order from our governor stating you may not enter the premises of a public location without a face mask.
Mhm.
Okay.
You may not redeem anything of currency exchange. You cannot use currency. You cannot be sold to, you cannot buy from or sell to without a
Mhm.
mask on in a public location. I went
Yeah.
to Meijer today, our local grocery store.
Mhm.
I was in there for 45 minutes
Mhm.
and I counted 17 people without masks.
Yeah, it's insane.
And there's a 4-foot by 4-foot sign at the entrance that
Mhm.
says you may not enter without a mask.
Wow. People don't even care.
Yeah. So the last shop I went into, because I went into one right before our actual lockdown hit. Like things were getting bad, but they weren't like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no yet.
Yeah.
No one was wearing a mask.
Yeah. And they're wondering why everything spiked really quick.
Yeah. But like at that point, we were talking about a lockdown. It just hadn't been implemented yet.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
we knew that the coronavirus, the COVID-19 was here. We knew it was a thing. And I
Mhm.
was the only person, employee, customer, wanderer at all,
Mhm.
out of, I believe, about 40 people in the store at the time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
walked in, realized I didn't see any other masks, and I walked out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you don't want to get that for sure. I know one of my friends I grew up with got it, him and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it's just they can't really taste anything, they can't smell anything, and it's just you just don't want to eat anything because you can't. It's just bland,
Yeah.
and it's terrible. It's terrible, and people think it's fake. I'm just like, what?
So, I've heard accounts like I've had to take antibiotics for various things that have happened over my life, and like you have that like you have the weird sulfur taste from some, and then you kind of lose your sense of taste until after you're done taking the medicine.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
it's difficult to eat with, like, even if that was the only symptom, people would still die from that because people can't force their bodies to eat if they're like, no.
Yeah.
No, people starve themselves, malnutrition, and just they can't pick themselves up in the morning. I mean, that's what really comes down to at the end of the day, which is why people have their no, I can't even think of the name of those things are called that they put in your wrist and IVs. That's it.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean,
People have to mean, and that's just a minor inconvenience. That's not even the other repercussions of your lungs stopping working. But
Yeah.
we don't need to go that far into it.
yeah.
But that being said, the only reason I brought it up is because I think part of the reason people aren't going to be able to come back to paper Magic, and I think Magic or Wizards is going to really suffer this quarter, is because I don't think a lot of people care about other people. I think they care so much about themselves and being comfortable and what being convenient for themselves, that instead of looking at the bigger picture, that there's other people that live in the world and everyone's trying to just live their lives, not them. That if everyone really just respected each other, regardless of what your belief is, whether you think you have to wear a mask or not, isn't the argument. It comes down to, do you really care about these other people around you? Because guess what, you're not the only person in the world that's trying to live their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it blows my mind that people have a hard time understanding that, because believe me, I think that if more people just had the basic understanding of like what I just brought up, that we would see a bigger change. And I think things like in other countries, we'd be getting back on our feet. But until then, we have Arena to look forward to, I guess. And
Yeah.
at least we don't have to smell the people through Arena. They don't have
There you go.
We might get this scratch and sniff. You missed the
if you're taking
GPs.
place in an arena event online, the wizard sends you a scratch and sniff sticker to put on your desk.
They have not yet implemented the view mode, so you can't have like side views, but they have developed smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision. It's like a combination of 3-day-old underwear and body odor. You know what I'm saying?
And for some reason, corn chips.
Corn. Okay. I don't know if this ever happened to you. Michael, but like when you're playing Commander, there's always that one guy who's digging in the bag of chips and wants to grab your deck with those Cheeto or Dorito fingers. And I'm just like, dude, you don't understand. I don't want you touching this.
So
Cut to me with-
I built my Affinity deck at the point. Nobody was using Thoughtseize and Affinity at that point, really, that I was aware of. And I had just got my Thoughtseizes, and I had just gotten my 4th Ravager.
Mhm.
And my opponent at the Modern Monday was eating pizza
Oh, no.
and chips.
Oh, jeez.
And he went to cut my deck,
Mm-hmm.
and I have never screamed judge and shot my arm up so fast.
Oh, jeez.
Because I was like, that is $900. If you touch a single one of those without cleaning your hands, they will be cleaning you from the inside of the store for weeks to come.
And I bet he was the one that seemed offended that you called Judge too, because it was those people that act like that. And it's like, well, it's not a big deal, man. And it's just like, well, it's not your money. Like, of course, it's a big deal for you. But
it's not a big deal for you. But like, hey, if I just kind of like did that to your face,
yeah,
exactly. We'll see what a big deal it is when I do it to you.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, now that we've gotten that over with, we had a little bit more fun questions for you to talk about, maybe a little bit further away from just Magic in terms of the community and whatnot. What we have for you today, the first one was, if you could pick which sets were in Standard from the beginning of Magic till current Magic, which sets would you pick, and why would it be a fun experience to use those sets specifically?
oh boy. Any sets in Standard that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Any sets, any amount. If you think 7 to 12 sets is fine, let's hear it, and then just let us know quickly why you think that would make it fun. Why do you think those would be fun?
Well, I'll start off with a waiver and disclaimer on that. Is I don't think most of the early sets of Magic would be fun mixed with other ones in a Standard environment.
Okay.
Because like there would just be so much that you'd be like, oh, okay, well it's turn 2 and the game's over.
Yeah.
So I guess we wouldn't make that. That would be an unfun experience, an unenjoyable experience.
Well, I guess I'll change that. If I can make a perfect Standard for me as a single individual,
yes,
it would be the Urza block, the Mirrodin block, and probably New Phyrexian.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the brown deck.
Okay. Yeah, I never played that set before, so I hope hopefully they come back to it.
Yeah, the idea of going like Tolarian Academy into literally any of the haymakers from Mirrodin or New Phyrexia, that's a lot of stuff. Yeah. I mean, that's like turn 1, you play that, you drop Ornithopter Memnite, Springleaf Drum, Mox Opal. You now have 7 mana.
Gross.
Jeez.
Yeah, and plus you have Artifact lands, so turn 2 you've got like 9 mana.
Oh, jeez. I didn't know it was that fast.
So why would that be fun though? Like what makes that fun? Like if you were playing against somebody in that same Standard set, like what part of it would be fun? Like is there a lot of counterplay to it? Is there a lot of like different things, different directions you could go rather than just the artifact, infinite mana essentially?
It would be a lot of artifact stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost every deck would be artifacts, but there would be
artifacts are your thing.
Yeah, but there would be a significant amount of color variation. It's like Standard right now, where Simic is the color combo.
Okay.
Whether it's Simic with red or Simic with black, it's still Simic.
Yeah.
In this meta that I'm envisioning in my head, like one land that taps for X equal to the amount of artifacts you have. In 2 of the most artifact heavy sets ever printed.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there would be like control shells that are going white-black because most of the things that protected your artifacts were white, and most of the things that punish your opponents for artifacts were black.
Okay.
So like you've got a Death and Taxes shell, you've got a Mono Blue Ramp shell. You would probably have a pretty significant presence of Esper Control shell too.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. So we're talking about, standard sets. What are your thoughts on the upcoming State of Standard? Like, what do you picture what might happen in Zendikar?
I just read today that apparently we're getting horrors, but we're not getting the Eldrazi back, which is weird.
Wait, what? Really?
Yes, Maro announced that there are worm horrors.
Okay.
And I can't remember. There were a couple of types of horrors, like 3 or 4 types of horror, like a demon cleric.
Really?
Yeah, and I think mouse was one of the ones that actually caught me by surprise.
A mouse horror, huh?
No, just mouse. Yeah,
Oh, really? It's mouse.
yeah. So like demon cleric, horror, mouse.
Just watch the mouse be like the new like powerful card and be like, what is this?
Yeah, like
That'll be funny. Oh
Like,
man.
cat just got banned.
Oh, it did.
It would make sense that the cat that got banned would be
yes.
followed by a mouse that would get banned, since there are
That's
dogs
true.
that are probably going to get banned right now.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I wonder what kind of mouse it would be in Zendikar. Would it just be like a regular mouse? Would it be like a mutated mouse? Or I don't know.
Well, do you think?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
It specifically didn't say mouse horror on the same list as the other horror cards.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
So I feel like it might still be like, oh, holy hell, that's not a mouse, that's a house.
It's a house. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
So it looks like they did some bans. Yeah, August 3rd was the most recent ban list I could find. Wilderness Reclamation, Growth Spiral, Teferi Time Traveler, and Cauldron Familiar. Do you think this is in preparations for some of the cards that they're going to drop, or do you think this is just a direct manipulation to the current meta because it's out of control?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, to both.
I think the answer is yes. I think that we'll probably see another round of bannings before the end of the year.
Do you think we'll see that after more spoilers, so we can kind of get an idea of why, or do you think it'll be before they drop cards, so it's more indirect?
I think it'll probably be after we've had Zendikar for a little bit.
Okay. So you think we're going to actually be able to touch the set and work with it before they decide to dig into our pockets and throw away some more cards?
Yeah, I think like on Arena specifically, I think Historic is probably going to get hit like within a month of Zendikar.
Yeah. I mean, Historic, I think it's one of my favorite formats right at the moment. I've been really enjoying.
I so want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that all of the formats that are available on the service should always be available.
Oh yeah, like Brawl and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like Historic. Yeah, you can play Historic whenever you want, as long as you play Ranked.
That's true. They don't have regular Historic, huh?
Yeah, like there's no play area, so you have to like custom game with your friends or play Ranked.
Yeah.
That's a little bit annoying if you're playtesting something and you want to see how quick you can pull off a combo or set up the,
Yeah, and then you have to build a list of your friends. Like, okay, if I want to play against the Mono Black Hand Hate, I have to play against Tim, and if I want to play against Tron, I have to play against Jamie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's too much work to just come up with a good idea, I guess.
Yeah. And then what are some things that you would like to see maybe Arena add, like having people watch the actual like premium events that have like in the actual client, or because that's what I would enjoy. Like I know some like Dota has that, and,
like spectator mode.
Yeah, spectator mode. I feel like that would be a cool like a cool teaching thing too. Like people like want to teach people how to play Magic. They can see how you play, or they can kind of see what you're doing too.
The fact that they lean on content creators broadcasting it as opposed to them having the direct built-in functionality of a spectator mode shows to me that they really want other people to do the work for them.
Exactly. Sadly, but yeah, I mean, that would be perfect. Plus, if they have like an option like on the Arena where you can see the people that are streaming too.
Yeah.
You know, that would be a cool thing to have.
Or if you could say register your email when you sign up for it to say I'm a streamer, so you'll have a little camera sitting next to your name so they can go find you.
Yeah, exactly. And then yeah, just have a little directory inside the client of who's streaming at the moment. That would be cool. Or like whoever posts like videos on YouTube, wherever you like to post, that would be nice.
Yeah,
because that's just growing the game and helping more people even create more content than never thought about doing it too.
And then, all right, Michael. So I went ahead and I pulled up some of the new spoiler cards that were leaked for the new Zendikar Rising set. Have you taken a look at those recently?
it's just the 2 planeswalkers so far, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I see here
Yeah.
on the website. Yeah, the 2 Jace Mirror Mage and Nahiri, Era of the Ancients. Any thoughts on those cards, and what do you think the direction of this set's going to end up being? Do you think it's going to be heavily revolving around these kinds of planeswalkers, or do you think these are more just flavor to the set?
I think Nahiri is going to end up being somewhat important, probably more likely in historic than in standard, due to the keywords of equipment.
Okay. Okay.
Because I feel like Zendikar has some really hefty equipments in it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
previous iterations of Zendikar have seen, like, casually +12/+12.
No big deal. No big
Yeah,
deal.
Sam.
12/12 on a creature
Yeah.
Yeah.
with Shroud and haste. Come on.
Yeah. And, you get to draw a card and untap your lands when you hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Gross.
Oh, it's every commander's staple dream right there.
Yeah.
For a,
Jace, I think, is sneakier. Like, not just because of the artwork, but I think the card itself is... It's either going to see minimal play, or it is going to be a massive meme deck.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
Yeah.
I have 75 copies of Jace. What do you want to say about it?
for those of you that are listening, Jace Mirror Mage is 2 blue and colorless. For kicker 2, when Jace Mirror Mage enters the battlefield, if Jace was kicked, create a token that's a copy of Jace Mirror Mage, except it's not legendary and its starting loyalty is 1. +1 is scry 2, and its 0 is draw a card and reveal it. Remove it. Number of loyalty counters equal to that card's converted mana cost from Jace Mirror Mage.
So, I mean, like maybe you can just have some win cons where if you draw your whole deck, you win, and then just have it somehow make a ton of mana and play this card. That'd be interesting. I mean, I feel like that would be like a fun deck to try to brew.
Yeah. I think the fact that they're bringing in... So we have a new clone Jace.
Mhm.
And in Ixalan, we also had a clone Jace.
Mhm.
Do you know what we had sandwiched between those 2 points?
What do we have?
8 cards that basically said double your double your double of your double.
Oh, yeah.
We had Spark Double. We had Quasi Duplicate.
Mhm.
We had Dual Cast. We have Repeated Reverberations. Sorry, took me a second there.
Mhm. Yeah.
All of those cards that say, hey, here's a non-legendary permanent Planeswalker card that you can infinitely copy if you so desire.
Yeah.
But we're going to give you one on either side of rotation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's interesting. I guess Jace is going to be I guess he's just going to be making clones of himself moving on forward. That's what it looks like, right?
Oh, so I guess Vorthos-wise, what we see as Jace is projection.
Oh, okay.
So like we don't know what Jace looks like because he always has some sort of mirage over him.
That's true. That is true. So we really don't even know what he looks like or what he is.
Yeah, like for all we know, Fibblethip is Jace.
Oh, that'd be the best.
Wouldn't it be?
Get some good fanfic out of that one.
Mm-hmm. I can actually see that would be kind of funny.
So this might be cut, but I have to say it. There was a massive meme post about how someone would cook a Fibblethip.
Oh, really?
And there were so many people going in on like how they would eat him and how they prepare him. Fibblethip sounds delicious. Can you just imagine if Fibblethip is Jace and everybody going back and editing those tweets to be like, yes, I'd love to eat Jace. He'd be delicious.
Oh man, I never saw that thread.
Oh, it was beautiful.
And all the talk about Fibblethip's making me hungry, dude.
I want to say
it.
it was a group of alter artists.
Oh, okay.
I want to say PKP Kitten
Mm-hmm.
was the one who I saw tweet it.
Okay.
But I mean, it was like there was like a good 150 people or so on this tweet thread of going like recipes for Fibblethip.
How would Gordon Ramsay cook it? I can't even say the word. I can't even try. Feeble Thip?
So
Yeah,
think feeble thwap,
Feeble.
and then feeble thwap, and then just say it fast.
Feeble Thip.
Fibblethip.
Feeble Thip. There we go.
There you-
Feeble Thip.
There
we
you
go. There we go. I got it. When I tried to make decks with that card, I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to even try to say it.
Wasn't he part of like a one deck that existed for about 2 weeks that was like absolutely broken in standard?
I think yeah,
yeah.
because he draws you a card when he enters, and then you shuffle him back in with one of the totally lost, and you bounce something else to get. I want to say it was Naru Meha to do the copy effect.
Yep.
For
Yep.
your infinite finale of devastation.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, or there was one that used only legendary planeswalkers and legendary cards, legendary creatures, and you would make piles, and Flibblethip was one of the ones you'd put in your deck as well, just to keep the bounce rotation going until you zeroed out your deck, and then you just played Jace. I think it was which Jace was it? The one where you plus him and he draws a card, and if you have nothing in your deck, you win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Kethio. It starts with a K.
Kethis combo.
Kethis. Yeah,
Yes,
there we go.
This combo.
Yeah.
I don't miss that deck. I don't miss that deck at all. Man.
Yeah, that was.
I was trying to play
gross.
Simic at that time, and then somebody just plays that against me, and I'm like sitting there for like 5 minutes, like, can I just fold? I don't want to play anymore. Like, this isn't fun.
It's like against eggs.
Why is this in standard? This feels like a janky legacy deck, like with how it's operating. Like, jeez.
Yeah.
You just reminded me. Eggs exists. For,
Yeah.
for the conversation from earlier about the standard set that I would put together from like Urza Block, Mirrodin, and Phyrexia,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Second Sunrise wouldn't be
So-
banned.
So gross.
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh,
I remember when
no.
I first was playing Modern, like I played against this like, Iron Clan Clanworks deck, and I was like, what is going on here? But he messed up, and I had my Master Cruelties, and I swung, and he didn't have any blockers, so he went to one. I bolted him. I was like, phew. And then he beat me the other 2 games, and I was like, this just feels terrible playing against.
KCI and Lantern were both pretty rough.
Oh yeah,
That was
Oh, yeah.
that was a lot of solitaire going like, I have $400 worth of cards in my hand that I'm not going to play this game.
yeah. Do you think that Mox Opal can be unbanned in Modern, or do you think it should stay banned? Because I feel like Affinity was such a fun deck to play, but it's unplayable now, right? Because you can't play with Mox.
Well, I mean, traditional Affinity is unplayable. Scales Affinity is still a deck.
Oh yeah, Scales, yeah. Uh-huh.
I think given the power level of things that they are printing, and with Pioneer being a format that is viable and seems to be gaining traction,
Mm-hmm.
that they need to do a lot of unbanning in Modern. Not
Yeah.
just Mox Opal, not just this or that. Like, Mox Opal is mine. Yes, I want that. I'm an Affinity
Yeah.
player. I want to turn my artifacts sideways. I want robots to go burr.
Yeah, yeah. I love Splinter Twin. I hope that card gets unbanned.
You know,
it was-
I think they
Yeah.
could. I genuinely think that we could unban Splinter Twin right now in Modern and just let Modern be baby Legacy.
Like I feel like it's totally fine. It's like Fatal Push is a thing, and like we didn't have that many really kill effects that were like that quick.
Force of
Yeah.
Negation is a thing.
That's true. Force Negation too. Yeah. So I mean, there's so many ways to deal with that deck now. I feel like people can play it.
Well, I mean, like we
Yeah.
have Pseudo Twin.
That's true.
We have Conspicuous Snoop with Kiki Jiki now.
Oh, that's true. The goblins, right?
Yeah,
The
we
goblin
we have 2 mana Splinter
Mhm.
Twin.
Mm-hmm. So when I have a 4 mana one, that's Control Shell.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like Jane, he's a big goblins player. So he was.
Oh
like,
yes, I'm a goblin. I'm a modern goblins monster.
A modern goblin. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Back when what was his name? The Dredge. What was his name, Jacob? The Dredge, the black Dredge card, green black.
Hogak.
Hogak.
Oh,
Back when-
Hogak.
Back when Hogak was a thing, dude. I remember I took my black red goblins deck into Vegas into a GP, and I was ready to roll some Hogax with goblins.
Is that the red black one? That's the one that played the Sling Gang.
Sling Gang. You would run the. I have the deck actually right next to me. I could always just
Is it the Earwig Squad?
because I haven't
Yeah.
touched it since GP, dude. I actually haven't touched this deck since GP because you'd run Munitions
That's definitely
Expert to get rid of creatures on the field. Chain Whirler would be to get rid of the 1 health creatures they would use as fodder. Goblin Matrons to find any goblin you want, and then you would basically use Aether Vial and Goblin Ringleader to put creatures on the board as quickly as possible. I mean,
Yep.
it was disgusting how fast this deck was. Sling Gang, obviously, Sling Gang Lieutenant, just to chuck 1/1 goblins you would create. One of my favorite decks I've ever played. It's just it came from like a $20 goblin shell that I had, and then I just sat on that idea, you know.
So-
Yeah.
With you being a goblins person and us talking about things that came from Modern Horizons,
Mm-hmm.
what are your thoughts on Pashalik Mons?
I'm trying to. I think. Let me see. How many do I run? Let me go back. Let me see how many Pashalik Mons I have. Give me a second here.
I think it was like 1 or 2, right?
I think it was 2, right? I think it was 2.
Do you
Sorry,
know
I
what
have.
makes- Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead. Say what you were gonna say.
It makes me laugh realizing that it took 26 years for Pashalik Mons to get a card.
True.
Yeah.
True. To be honest with you, this deck that I ran at the time, it didn't really manipulate the deck enough to where it was broken. But yeah, the fact that Pashalik Mons or another goblin you control dies, Pashalik Mons deals 1 damage to any target. I mean, the nice thing about it wasn't so much of how useful the ability was, but it was good that if you were to drop a the goblin that creates 3 1/1s, Sling Gang Commander when it enters the battlefield, the fact that if somebody was just going to try to wipe a Sling Gang Commander, like just as soon as you play it, and wipe your board, the fact that you could manipulate Pashalik Mons to just deal any sort of damage to your opponent as, chip damage was the most powerful part about that card, which is also why you didn't run a lot of him, because it wasn't something you were necessarily crutching on, but something that would help. It didn't break the deck in any way, shape, or form, but it definitely helped in those situations where when you played him, you were able to put yourself in a strategic advantage rather than because you didn't care if you lost your goblins because everything would trigger at the same time.
Right.
But no, it wasn't something you would run 4 of in any deck by any means.
I do remember seeing somebody playing multiple copies of Pashalik Mons because they saw each other.
Oh,
Okay.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
How would
it
that
was-
work though? How would that? I don't think they would
Put a
trigger
board
more
with
than twice each, right?
Well, so I can't remember the exact mechanic they used. I believe it was they entered. He was supposed to have the immediate choice of replacement effect,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure if it's technically a legal move, but he sacked his board in response to playing his own second Pashalik Mons.
Yes, and all the triggers would happen at the same time.
Yes.
You'd get double, so you'd get 3 times the damage rather than single damage.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
So gross.
Especially if you're using something like Sling Gang to sack your whole board instantaneously. Yeah. Goblins is fantastic deck. And now that there's what was the new one that was printed about a couple months ago that people were raving about?
I think it was for the combo, right? To make a lot of gobos. I forgot the 2 cards that they really used.
But they don't run as many Sling Gangs anymore because all they need is that one combo card to pop off, and then they can just kill an opponent instantly. I don't. I like I said, I haven't been involved in goblins too much. I haven't touched the deck since that GP, but if I were to get back into it, goblins is my one and only. Like that's my favorite deck of all time, and if I ever had to play anything, it would be goblins, 100%.
All right. So we got 2 questions from Twitter. Do you want to say the first one, James?
Yeah, I can go ahead and go over it with you. So the first one was asked by, and I might say your name wrong, so I apologize, but it looks like it's Majin Shinsa at Majin Shinsa on Twitter. They say, Michael, where did you come up with the idea of focusing on Magic the Gathering community with your stream? It's a pretty unique approach, and I love it when I'm able to catch it. How do you avoid judging your stream to your guests? That seems like it could be challenging.
So I'll be honest with you. With this one, I didn't quite understand what they meant by the judging your stream to your guests.
Hmm.
But it's the kind of the answer that I gave earlier with like how I came to do the thing that I do in content creation of I saw people burning out. I saw people leaving the game that I love because they were tired of the Mythic Ladder, or they couldn't figure out who the hell was in the MPL or how to get into the MPL, or they thought that GP grinding just wasn't conducive to their lifestyle anymore.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sorry. I equally saw as much of those higher level grimes and complaints as I saw people at FNMs who just didn't want to be there anymore because they felt like they weren't getting anything from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like the response to that was to create a space where you could play that turn 7 combo deck, or you could run the creature that you just needed to have that perfect mana base. Otherwise, it didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. So like how do you pick the decks that were like in your like gang stream? You have like a certain criteria where you can't play a certain amount of cards or certain cards in general?
It alternated. A lot of it was like we do specific challenges, like against Decrepit Sunday 3, one of the first people to be on the show. It was life gain at a point where Sanguine Sacrament was still legal.
Okay.
It was +1/+1 counters to where we both went nigh on infinite.
Oh, really?
And then it was duplicating planeswalkers and spells, which there was a short period of time last year where I was known as the guy who broke Arena.
Oh, really? How'd you do that?
It turns out if you gain over 1 million life in a turn, you break Arena. If you make more than 150 copies of any single spell, you break Arena. If you make more than 3,700 tokens in a single turn, you break Arena. If you make 1,000 copies of a single Planeswalker in 2 turns, you break Arena. And if you play more than 45 lands in a turn, you break Arena.
Jeez. Wow. So how did you make up making like 3,700 tokens?
Yeah. So I built a deck that was basically an infinite loop around the 1,000-Year Storm.
Oh, okay.
So I would just continuously shuffle my library or my graveyard back into my library, sack a bunch of lands that could draw me cards, and keep going over and over and over again, basically to the point where I had an infinite amount of whatever I wanted, and that worked. And then I also had an infinite mana ramp at one point where I didn't use the Storm because that was a challenge brought onto me by my audience. I couldn't use the Storm card, but they still wanted me to storm off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So now we have the last question from Jordan. He's from PGD Hansen on Twitter. He says, here's one. What's your favorite dish to cook? And if there was a plane you want to try and eat it for your local cuisine, which plane would it be?
So for this one, I have pretty weird tastes when it comes to food. Like,
okay.
I'm a big fan of fusion. I've spent most of my adult life as a professional cook in some capacity or another.
Oh, awesome.
But given my personal tastes, I think that Lorwyn / Morningtide, because there's such a wide variety. Like, think of all the tribes that were represented there.
Yeah.
Think of how many different variations of food you'd have to have just laying around on the plane for all of them.
That's true. That's true. Okay. And then what would you try to eat there? Is there anything that you would try to make with any of those certain dishes? Like if you could think of if you could imagine what would like the fairies would make or what the merfolk would make, like what would you picture them trying to make you could eat?
I feel like the merfolk would probably have something akin to a Polynesian menu. Like I see there being like sweet fruits and bitter herbs and heavy meats. Like a lot of ham is used in some Polynesian dishes. versus like the fairies, I see them being more like a dessert.
Mm-hmm.
So like something very light, something like a fairy would fly off with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But like the Kithkin, I feel like would have a traditional Hobbit meal 12
Okay.
times a day.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, like that plane. There's just so many, like you're saying, there's so many different options that you can go from.
Yeah.
I wish I was, I wonder if they're going to go back to that plane. I mean, they kind of had something kind of similar, like with Eldraine, but it had like the storybook kind of aspect to it. But I wonder if they're going to go back to that. It'll be really fun to do that.
Do you remember the buyout when MTG Finance bought all of the Bitter Blossoms in response to the announcement?
That was disgusting. Like I was thinking about building like a tokens deck, and I was like, okay, let's go see how. It's like, where can I buy these? They're not on TCG. What happened? And then they went to what, $50-$60?
Oh yeah,
that was just.
And then that.
And then it went back. And then went back to nothing, right? And I was like, what, $10, $15?
I think it stayed up like $2 or $3 above its previous price.
Oh, it did. Oh, okay. But yeah, that was pretty insane. But yeah, so yeah, thank you for joining. Michael, is there anything that you would like to promote or say about where we can find you?
I think so. Yeah. So Michael1916 on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Twitter.
Okay.
Hoping in the not too distant future to be returning to my Monday schedule of doing the Great Content Creator Jank Brew Dual Off Event series.
Okay.
And I would like to promote you guys.
Oh, awesome.
I know that I'm currently on your show, but I would like to promote the Origins podcast because I think that this is. I mean, I have not done a lot of podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the way that the two of you have staggered this thing and you've set it up and it's very well thought out. It's very well, like I haven't seen the finished product, but it seems very produced ahead of time in the nicest of ways that I can possibly say that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Me and Jake are IRL friends and we've been wanting to try something like this. And obviously, I had a kid, and so I kind of fell out of Magic, even though I was like super, super heavily invested in it. And Jake, he got busy with life, and then he, was getting back into Magic. And what better way to involve yourself in the community than, talk about Magic with people who love Magic as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very true.
And that's honestly what our goal is here. And it's not so much of, being the smartest people, always giving the right answers and always knowing what to say. It's more. I don't know if this goes for Jacob as well. I'm just going to speak for myself and I'll let him say anything on that. But what it really comes down to is, we want to create an environment where everyone can sit down, have a holistic conversation about anything, whether it's Magic or current events in the world, and enjoy ourselves and make sure that the people listening are also like they feel welcome and that they're part of the conversation as well. That's the goal, and that's the kind of the format I tried to take when, coming up with ideas on how we go about these things. I mean, you don't just start a podcast and hope that everything works out. There's a lot of thought in how you want to ask questions and how you want to format things. But I appreciate hearing that. It's always something that you're worried about, that you give off a bad impression, and that because you didn't say the right things or you didn't know all the right answers.
I absolutely understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just basically everything that I believe too that we're trying to conquer with this podcast is trying to connect the audience with the with other creators, smaller, bigger, whoever you are. Just try to grow everybody together and try to make everything more connected. That's what we're trying to do. But yeah, thanks for joining us. It was a fun podcast, and hopefully we can get you back soon on this.
I would love that.
All right.
And we'd love to have you back, Dia. We'd love to have you back. You've been great, and thank you for all your considerate answers, and thank you for giving us a little bit more knowledge. I mean, I learned a lot tonight about certain cards and metagames that I wasn't even alive when they existed. So,
plus we created one.
That's true. That's true. We found out artifacts can be a lot of fun. So, Wizards, if you're listening, bring back artifacts. Every deck, 95% artifacts and 5% lands. Let's go.
There we go.
That would be fun. All right. Awesome.
Hey, Michael, really quick, just wanted to ask one other thing before the podcast wraps up this evening. If there was anybody that you could see in the Magic community joining us for a conversation, somebody that you that not only that you know personally, maybe somebody that you're just familiar with, somebody who is really invested in Magic growing through just not only the community, but also in play style and the way people look at the game themselves. Do you have anybody that you would recommend or like to see in the future?
I do. I think that Davy Coombs on Twitter would be a pretty good inclusion.
Okay.
And I think that LevDev, who goes by PGD Hansen on Twitter, would also
I
be
recognize
a
that
great
name.
inclusion. Yes.
One of one of the people that asked a question. Let me pull them up.
Yes.
Alrighty. We'll go ahead and reach out. And then are they arena players as well, or are they do they have any other expertises that they familiarize themselves with?
They are both, in fact, arena players, and to an extent, they are both content creators in their own right.
Okay.
Davey to be more the written word, and LevDev / PGD Hansen being more YouTube and Twitch.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I would love to have them on. That'd be fun.
Also, I would feel bad if I didn't say this for Davey Kun. Hot Daxos.
Awesome. So, was there like an inside joke you guys have with that?
It is the most inside joke ever.
That's awesome. Well, you would understand that. So awesome. So yeah, we'll get those. We'll try to connect with them and see when we can get them on.
I think that they would enjoy this just the same that I have, and I hope that they do.
Awesome. You want to close this out, James?
Well, I just want to thank you once again for tuning in to MTG Origins podcast. I'm your host, James Klumper, with Jake MTG. We want to thank once again Michael for coming in tonight and giving us a little bit of his knowledge and the tip of the iceberg into Legacy, Arena, Modern, and his thoughts on where the Magic the Gathering community is headed. If you guys would like to learn more about us, feel free to follow us at Jake at MTG on Twitter, J Klumper on Twitter, Michael 1916. That's MAECHAEL 1916 on Twitter, and feel free to shoot us a message. Ask anything you might come to your mind, and we'd be happy to see if we can get back to you and answer it, whether it's in the DMs or reply to your tweet, or even in a live episode, asking other guests what their thoughts are on your questions. We'll be looking forward to hearing from y'all soon, and we once again thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it.